How are you all? Today we are going to study the third chapter of our Moments book, Ishwaran the Storyteller, written by R.K. Lakshman. When we talk about R.K. Lakshman, I hope you all might have heard his name. He is a renowned cartoonist and a story writer. So sometime or the other we might have read the stories by him and we might have really got very attracted and interested in his stories. So here today's chapter named Ishwaran the Storyteller, we see one storyteller or a writer talking about another storyteller. The main character of the lesson is Ishwaran, right? Now, what is the speciality of this character? He likes to narrate stories. So, even some of us might be liking to listen to the stories today also. But I am very sure once when we were very small, we all love to listen to the stories. Now, what do you think? Narrating a story, is it an art? Yes, I feel so, that story narration is an art. It's not possible that everybody can do it so effectively. Like for example, you see, one of your friend goes to see a movie and when he comes back and if you ask him or her, how was this movie, can you tell me the story? So you will find that the 3 hours long story your friend has just summed up in 4 or 5 minutes and told you about it. So you might not feel so interested in that story, or you might not even feel like going and watching that movie because the story that he has narrated did not appeal to you. You did not like that story. But on the same front, if one of your other friend goes and he watches that movie and when he comes back and you ask him about the story, he narrated the story so well with all dictions, intonations, gestures, and then you might feel, oh, it's so interesting. So what I want to say is, it is not the story which interests the reader or especially the listener. It is the way the story is narrated. That is what interests to the listener. So for that only I was saying that yes, narration of the story is really an art. You require a lot of skills. You actually need to be into that when you are reciting a story. Right? So here, the main character, Ishwaran, he is such type of a person who loves to narrate these stories. Now the other character in the story is Mahendra. Now who is this Mahendra? Mahendra is a junior supervisor. By profession, he is a junior supervisor. And what is the work of the supervisor? He supervises the things. He keeps a check on the thing or the work that's been happening or taking place. So, Mahendra, he is a junior supervisor at the construction site, the construction firm. Right? And since he is related to construction work, obviously when one place the construction is going on, that is going to come to an end, that's going to be completed someday, and then the people have to move to some other place. So in this process, what happens is Mahendra keeps moving from one place to the other and so on as per the requirement of his company, of his firm. Right? Now, Ishwaran is an asset. Ishwaran is a very important thing in the life of Mahendra. Right? Mahendra, talking about Mahendra, Mahendra is a bachelor, he is an unmarried person, right? And because he is unmarried, he is able to move so frequently to different places. Some places maybe he might not get all the things which are needed. So he can stay in a circuit house, or he can stay in a tent anywhere, because he is a single person. But if you are a family man, now what happens? You have to look, you have to take into consideration the needs of your family. You cannot simply keep moving every time here and there. No, that's not possible. When you have a family, you need to be stable at one place. But since Mahendra is a bachelor, he is free to move. And the biggest asset that he has in his life is Ishwaran, his cook, his washerman, everything. Ishwaran does everything for Mahendra. Whatever household work is there. He cooks for him, he keeps his place, his house tidy, right? He washes his clothes and so on. Other necessary things. If he had to bring some grocery or any other things, vegetables or anything from the market, he brings that also. Mahendra is not bothered about all this. He is free from all these things. Right? So wherever Mahendra moves, Ishwaran goes with him. Right? Ishwaran is moving along with Mahendra. So this is what is the introduction of Ishwaran and Mahendra. Now they have moved to a place, to a construction site of a factory, where they are going to stay and where the story of the lesson is going to develop. So talking about Ishwaran, as I have already told, Ishwaran is a very important person in Mahendra's life. Now Ishwaran, there are some qualities that Ishwaran has got. What is this? Ishwaran likes to read. He likes to read books in Tamil. When it is said he likes to read Tamil books, especially the horror books, the suspense thrillers, these are the types of books that he likes to read. And when I talk about Tamil, it gives us a clear hint where the story is based. We come to know that the story is based in some part of Tamil Nadu. Okay? And both of them are moving from place to place. And what is Ishwaran's work? When Mahendra gets up in the morning, he gets ready to go for his work, he takes some breakfast, Ishwaran packs his tiffin for him, he takes the tiffin and he moves. After that, Ishwaran is all day at home. So he has his own lifestyle, his own daily routine. So what does he do? First, he is cleaning the house, washing clothes, right? After that, he would take a leisurely bath. Why it is called leisurely bath? Because he would not just take bath with one bucket. He would go on pouring buckets of water on his head. And when taking bath, he would keep muttering prayers. This tells us that he is also a religious man. Right? Now, after that, what will happen? After he takes bath, he takes his lunch, and then in the afternoon he wants to relax. Right? So before taking a nap in the afternoon, a short sleep in the afternoon, what does he do? He likes to read. He likes to read some Tamil scriptures. It can be anything, a story, a thriller, a suspense, any book. But he loves to read. And what I feel, this is the reason why Ishwaran is such a good storyteller. Because he keeps reading. And when he reads such type of books like suspense, thriller and action, so his stories which he narrates are also influenced by them. Now, if somebody will ask Ishwaran some simple question, he will never give a straight answer to it. What would he do? He would make a story. He would weave a story and then present it to the person. Like suppose Ishwaran had seen an uprooted tree. What is an uprooted tree? A tree which has fallen on the ground with all its roots and everything anything coming out from the earth. That is what is an uprooted tree. So now if you or me, if we see such tree, what would we do? We would simply say, oh, today while coming to school, I saw an uprooted tree. But Ishwaran won't do this. What would he do? He would say the things in such a way that the listener would want to know. He would be like anxious. He would be curious to know what actually did Ishwaran see. So he would say that one day I was walking on a deserted road, lonely. Right? I was walking on a deserted road, then somewhere at a distance I saw something bushy on the road, lying on the road. Looking at it, I was so shocked, I was so scared that I felt like turning back and running away. Yeah? But, you see, I am a very brave person. So what did I do? I bravely went near to the tree, near to that bushy thing that was on the ground. And when I went near, what did I find? I found it was nothing great but just an uprooted tree. Okay? So this is how he would give the anecdotes, he would give the details of any small thing. Now somebody would ask him, Ishwaran, which place do you come from? This question can be put up very easily. Why? Because they keep moving from place to place, from different place they keep moving. So, then again he would not simply say that I come from this place. What he would say as an introduction, he would say I come from a place which is rich in timber. Timber is a wood used for making furniture and other things. So he said I come from that place. And where these timbers are grown, right, in that yard, there are lots of elephants. Elephants who are very huge, well built, strong elephants. And then what he says, one day he says that one of the elephants he escaped from the timber yard. As this elephant escaped from the timber yard, he was a bit mad. Mad means like he was angry maybe, or he was not in a good mood. He was upset. So this elephant, when he went out of the yard, escaped out of the yard, then what did he do? He started destroying the things whichever came into his way. He destroyed the fences, he destroyed the hawking carts and everything. And after that, he finally managed to reach to the school. And how did he enter into the school playground? He entered into a school playground by breaking the wall of the school. And when he was breaking the wall of the school, it was like as if he is breaking the matchsticks. Without any effort. That shows the strength of the animal. Right? Now, after that, whatever was there inside the school playground, the different playing games and things, other things, he has destroyed all of them. The drums of water, the basketball ground and everything is destroyed. And the children who were playing in the school playground, just to save themselves, they all ran away inside the building. The teachers, they went up on this terrace to see this animal. The people living around the school, they also came on their terrace to look at this animal. But the elephant could not be controlled by anyone. Then Ishwaran says, I was also in the school at that time. Means Ishwaran was studying at that time. He was a student. So he says, I also went to the terrace along with the teachers to see. And then somewhere I got that courage. I don't know what happened. Something took over me. I was under the spell, some magical power. Then what did he do? Under the influence of that magical power, he snatched the stick from the hands of the teacher, one of the teacher, the cane. He took it and he ran down to the ground. In front of the elephant he was standing. An elephant was all full with anger, right? And he's saying, when the elephant saw me standing in front of it was more angry. Oh, you small little creature, how dare you to stand in front of me? As if the elephant wanted to say this to me. Right? So, he says, the moment the elephant was preparing itself to attack me, what did I do? I gathered all my force, mustered all my force. Mustering means gathering. I mustered all my force, and with all that force, with all that energy, what did I do? I hit the third toenail of the elephant. Right? And after that, what happened? The elephant was shocked, was stunned, did not show any reactions. And few seconds afterwards, this huge heavy elephant, he shivered and he collapsed. He fell down. And what happened to him? He became unconscious. Right? After he becoming unconscious, he says, the veterinary doctor was called. The doctor for animals. He was called, and then all maybe treatment, medicines, whatever were needed were given. But because of the attack by Iswaran, the elephant was unconscious for 2 days. He says, after 2 days, he regained his consciousness, and then what did he do? The Mahout of the elephant. Who is a Mahout? Mahout is a person who takes care of the elephant. So he was called, and then this Mahout took away the animal with him, the elephant with him. So this is how he would keep talking, keep telling different stories about the thing. Right? And after that, he is like, always he wants to keep on telling the stories and stories. Right? Now, they have come to a site, a factory site, and they're staying there. Right? After this, what is happening? Iswaran, he is so much used to moving from place to place with Mahendra that he knows that Mahendra can be transferred or can be going to any place where he might not get vegetables, he might not get groceries or any other thing which are needed for daily life. So Mahendra had this habit of keeping lot of fresh vegetables, spices, other groceries which he would need with him. And whenever in need means that is like the day you shift to a new place. Even this is common, a general thing. If we are shifting from one place to other, from one house to the other, it is difficult that on the day of shifting we are able to cook at home. So the easy way out is we go out for our lunch or dinner. But this is not the case with Iswaran. Wherever you move on that very same day when you are new to the place, you don't know the market, whether the markets are nearby or no, whatever. But you would get the best of the delicious dishes to eat on that day also. He was so perfect cook. He would prepare such a good food. Right? And then one would imagine, where did he get those things to prepare food from? Right? So now they have shifted. They are staying in a place. One day, what happens? Iswaran asks Mahendra that today he wants to cook something special. What is the occasion? He says today is a very auspicious day. Right? And on this day, people cook good food for their ancestors, the forefathers. Right? The people, the elderly people in the family who are dead. So they prepare good food for them and they offer them. Right? And then Mahendra is like, okay, fine, you can cook whatever you feel like. So Mahendra doesn't want to like hurt Iswaran at all. They are both like a family. And when in this moving procedure, whenever they have to move, Mahendra doesn't have lot of things in his house and with him. So that means he doesn't even have a television. So Iswaran is taking a place of a television for Mahendra. Mahendra likes to talk to him, he likes to listen to the stories that he is reciting. Whatever stories are narrated by Iswaran, he likes to listen to them. It is not that he likes the stories, but it is that he likes the way the stories are narrated. Okay. So now, when Mahendra came back in the evening, he had prepared very delicious food. It was extremely delicious. Mahendra was very happy to eat the food. And after eating food, he even praised Iswaran for preparing such a wonderful, delicious meal. And maybe they were talking and then they got into a conversation where the topic came to be supernatural. Supernatural powers, right? The spirits, the ghost and all so on. So Mahendra did not like this. He was shocked. When Iswaran spoke about all this, he was shocked. Till that time, what he was doing, he was on his relaxing chair, sitting nicely, and he was lost in the delicious flavor, delicious taste of the food. But as soon as Iswaran started talking about the supernatural powers, he was shocked. He came out of that reverie, that deliciousness, the imagination, right? So, and he did not like it, so he scolded Iswaran for this. He said, you better go and have a checkup with the doctor. That there's something wrong. Either your digestion is upset or your brain is upset. There is nothing called supernatural power that exists. So you better don't talk about it. And he goes to his room and he sleeps. In the morning, Mahendra feels that maybe Iswaran might be upset today in the morning. Right? Because he was scolded. And they even spoke about some rubbish topic and so on. But when Mahendra saw Iswaran was very cheerful, he was very happy. It appeared, he was very normal, it appeared as if nothing has happened. He did not mind what Mahendra has told him last night. So then again he was also happy. And Mahendra was like, he was just trying to recall what Iswaran was saying. Iswaran said, that this factory site where they are now constructing a factory once was a burial ground where the dead bodies were buried. And he says whenever he goes out or to market or somewhere, he can find skulls lying here and there. That is during the process of digging for construction, the skulls are coming out, the bones are coming out of the ground and he finds them lying here and there. So these things, they go on continuously in the mind of Mahendra. Mahendra is scared. He doesn't like it. And now, again, what Iswaran told, he remembers. Iswaran told that though he is a very brave person, he is not scared of ghosts, he is not scared of spirits, nothing. But there is one ghost. That is the ghost, the spirit of a woman. She is very ugly looking woman. Right? Her face is all shrinked. Her hair, they are very dirty. Unmanaged hair. And in her arm she is carrying a dead fetus. Fetus is a small baby. Right? The body of a baby. So she is carrying this. And when does he see her? He sees her only during the night of full moon day, full moon night. Right? So, all this description, as we have till now known that he is a very good descriptioner. He describes the things so well that one can just close the eyes and imagine. So maybe Mahendra was so much influenced that he thought he has stopped going near to his window at night. Right? He wouldn't go near the window. Earlier, Mahendra outside his window during the full moon night. He would enjoy looking at that white landscape. But now with the fear that if he goes to see, he might see the ghost that Iswaran was talking about. So he does not do that. He simply goes to his room and sleeps. He does not even try to peep out of his window. So same way, one night Mahendra was sleeping and he heard some moaning sounds. Right? He heard some moaning sound. What a moaning sound? M-O-A-N. Moan is the painful cry. Right? So first Mahendra thought that it might be the sound created by a cat who might be running in order to catch the mice. Right? And he tried to avoid and sleep. But after some time he saw that the voice was going shriller and shriller. Right? And because of that, he now came to a conclusion that this is not a cat's voice. This is not a cat, but something else. So he thought of peeping out of the window, but then he said if at all he sees out of his window, and if he sees the thing, that is the thing that was told by Iswaran, he sees that lady, his heartbeat would stop, he would die. So he was avoiding to look out of his window. But as the sound went on becoming deeper and deeper, louder and louder, finally he could not resist. He could not stop himself from peeping out of the window. So what does he do? He stood up and he went to the window and looked out. And he really saw what Iswaran has told. He saw a lady standing with a dead body of a baby in her hand. And he was very scared. So scared, he quickly came to his bed and he slept. Now the night has gone, it's morning. So in the morning what happens? He doesn't want to talk about that incident which he has seen last night. But Iswaran, he tells, see, when I was telling you, you did not believe me. But last night I could hear the crying sounds from your room. That means I am very sure you also saw the same thing that I have been seeing. And I have told you already. Listening to this, Mahendra is now confirmed. Up till now, Mahendra was in a dilemma. He was in a confusion whether what he had seen last night was just his illusion or it was the reality. He didn't know. But now when Iswaran is talking about the same thing, Mahendra is sure that it was not an illusion but it was the reality. Right? So he does not wait ahead to find out whether it was really reality or the illusion or what it was. Was it just the influence of the way Iswaran has told him the things? And his mind was influenced by all these things and he is imagining the things. He did not wait to find out the truth. Simply decided that they are leaving this place and moving away. They are not going to continue in this place. So after this, the writer does not tell us what happened after this, but whether the things that were told by Iswaran were true or it was just the illusion of Mahendra under the influence of Iswaran. All these things are not clear, but one thing that is very clear is Iswaran is a very good storyteller. Right? He likes to tell stories and the way he tells stories are excellent. It's wonderful. So that is what the story is all about. Now when you read the chapter, you will come across few words in the chapter which you may find it difficult. So let's see the meanings of those words. First is bachelor. Who's a bachelor? Bachelor is an unmarried unmarried man. Now what do we call an unmarried girl? Yes, she is known as spinster. S-P-I-N-S-T-E-R. She is known as spinster. Fine. Anecdotes. It's a short story related to things or event. A person miraculously magically conjure, produce, enthrall, under power. Right? So these are the words that you will come across. So just go through them. I hope you liked the story, you enjoyed the story. So read the story and remember and try to learn, try to express yourself in that effective manner. That when you recite or you narrate a story to somebody really believes that yes, maybe that's the truth. Thank you.